have a ham family. Not like bacon, like people who like attention. I'm not like that. My family likes giving speeches and talking to people, where I would prefer to, well, not do any of that. I must have been adopted. One time, we went to a fast food restaurant. You know when they call out your name when your food is ready and you go get it? Well, for that, my family likes to give the name Batman. The worker will look at us funny, and my family will just go, shh. See, now, I would never do that. Another time, when my mom and I were at a restaurant, they asked for her name, and she gave mine. I was horrified, embarrassed, crazy embarrassed. I am an introvert. That means extra introvert. My family is full of extroverts, and that makes me exactly the opposite of what my family is. There are 2 introverts in the entire family, and I am one of them. So one of my very least favorite things to do is give a speech. And as you can see, here I am, because of my family. I do not want to give a speech, and I would like to persuade you that I should not have to give a speech. I would appreciate your support, and if you see my dad or my siblings, please tell them that I should not have to give any more speeches. I have 3 reasons for why I should not have to give a speech. First, I don't want to give a speech. Second, I'm too shy to give a speech. And lastly, I don't want to give a 3rd reason for why I should not have to give a speech. So let's go ahead and go through these reasons, and I hope you'll agree. Firstly, I don't want to give a speech. I don't want to give a speech because I do not like to talk. Take, for example, this situation. This is not a normal situation for me. I would never volunteer to speak in front of a bunch of strangers. Ever. I could embarrass myself. I probably already have embarrassed myself, and I'll think about it later. This is not my fault because I do not want to give a speech. Also, you shouldn't have to listen to me. I'm sure you're all very charming people. I think I'm a nice person. Maybe we can chat when we're not doing this. That would be okay with me. I might want to know more about you, but I have to do all the talking when I'm giving a speech. I'd rather hear about all of you. I don't want to give a speech because what happens if I give a bad speech? That's even worse than not giving a speech. But it's not worse than breaking. But I don't want to break because I don't want to give another speech. I hope that makes sense. Suppose someone here objects and thinks, oh, Clementine, you're so funny, you should keep giving speeches. Well, I would say that if I am funny, it's only because I'm embarrassing myself. Revealing my deep fears and vulnerabilities just doesn't feel very funny to me. All of this wouldn't happen if I didn't have to give a speech. Suppose you're starting to agree with me in this dilemma. Should you rank me low and save me from giving another speech, or rank me higher and show you don't agree and punish me with more speaking? Or what if you like my speech but still agree with me and I still have to speak again? Well, it's all very complicated and still frightening to me. I honestly don't know how to understand it all, but none of this would be a problem if I didn't have to give a speech. My second point, I'm too shy to give a speech. I'm too shy to do a lot of things. For example, my sisters went to the bathroom while at a dinner theater not long ago. My older sister Evelyn thought that our other older sister Cadence was in one of the other stalls. So she jumped next to that stall, making a big noise and yelled, "Boo!" But it turns out that Cadence wasn't in that stall. It was an old lady, and Evelyn practically scared her to death. When the old lady got out, Evelyn apologized, laughed, and left. I would never, ever, 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 ever do that. I would apologize and cry and run away. I'm too shy to give a speech because I don't like people thinking about me. One time, my oldest sister, Belle, ratted me out. She told my parents to make me give a speech, to not be shy like her. She's the other introvert. I'm so mad at her. She didn't want me to end up like her, but it's too late. I did. And I shouldn't have to give a speech because she's shy too. I'm too shy to give a speech because I don't like being judged. This is pretty much the worst place to be and not want to be judged. With everyone looking at me, listening to me, and, judging. I'm shy, and that means I don't like to relive all the times I've done something embarrassing. My family just started a club in Jacksonville, and since my dad used to fly in the Navy, he likes our club to give each other nicknames or call signs. You basically get one when you do something embarrassing. As you can imagine, I got mine very early on in my club. I was in my very first debate against this really good team. I was super nervous when I had to give my speech. I got through it, and then Luke Brooker came to cross-examine me. Now, Luke is really, really good, and I'm really, really not. And he's asking me questions, and I just froze. I couldn't get anything out. The best I could do was ask him to rephrase the question, which he did, at which point I still said nothing. He was very gracious, which is kind, but he was the whole 3 minutes, which wasn't. Suffice it to say, my new call sign is crickets. As you can see, it is all very embarrassing. If I do speak, I'm embarrassed, and if I don't speak, I'm embarrassed. My shyness would be saved if I just didn't have to give a speech. I would also like to add, please do not tell Luke that he's in my speech. My last point. I don't want to give a third reason for why I should not have to give a speech. What's wrong with my first 2 points? I've already said enough to support my thesis. Why do speeches need 3? I mean, I know it's nice, but still, why? When we do impromptu practice at club, I only have to give 2 points, not 3. If I only needed 2 points, I'd be done by now. If I didn't have to give a speech, then I wouldn't have to experience super embarrassing moments. Like the time I gave this speech barefoot. Let me explain. It was my 3rd time giving this speech. I was a junior and I was super nervous. I entered the room, and while I was closing the door, I realized I didn't have shoes on. What am I supposed to do? Embarrass myself by leaving, or risk embarrassing myself worse by giving my speech barefoot? I chose the second and got as close to the judges as possible, totally hide my bare feet from the judges. I really hope that now that I've revealed this moment with you that I'm wearing shoes right now. Thankfully, in that moment, my bare feet were hidden. I even had someone actually tell my dad after I gave the speech that I shouldn't have to give a speech again. But that didn't work. It was probably because they were a competitor. I think that if an adult told my family that I shouldn't have to give a speech anymore, it might work. In fact, I did some research, and Emma Butel, writing for Inverse, reported on a study done by Dr. Maria Dietrich, where she tested 13 women's stress response to giving an impromptu speech. She found that those who qualify as introverts like me have high cortisol reactivity. She said, some people qualify as laryngeal stress responders because they tend to have more profound changes to their vocal muscles when they're put on the spot and asked to speak. These results suggest that being more introverted may predispose someone towards one of these stress reactions that make speaking so hard. And so you see, giving this speech could actually make my speaking worse, which is why I should not have to give a speech. At any rate, I don't think I need a 3rd point to persuade you that I should not have to give a speech. I suppose what I want you all to understand is that introverts have a very hard time overcoming the stress brought on by public speaking. Please, go easy on us. Even though you may not see it on the outside, some competitors may be going through a lot to overcome anxiety and even physical responses to the stress. So be kind to my fellow competitors when you're filling out your ballots, realizing we may be dealing with a lot on the inside. In conclusion, I am a novice. I have my whole life ahead of me to give speeches that I do not want to give, and I shouldn't have to give one now. I live in a family of hams, and I'm more like a cricket. Really, please. If you see my dad or my siblings, repeat after me. Clementine should not have to give a speech. Thank you.